Local and live, covering Franklin and Washington counties, it's Let's Talk Tristate with Tiny and Katy.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Tri-State, powered by HomeRite Windows and Doors in Waynesboro, the right choice winner of the 2024 Best of the Tri-State Award. And speaking of which,
well, I mean, let's save a little bit of the talk about HomeRite Windows and Doors for Nick Cecco, who is the owner. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Talk us through the services and the products that you offer first at HomeRite Windows and Doors.
Absolutely. So we service residential replacement window and replacement doors for homeowners. So if you had old wooden windows that are falling apart or you had doors that are leaking air, that's where we come in and serve you with those replacement windows and doors.
How long have you been with the company?
We've been doing this for almost 17 years now.
Nice. And what's your background?
I've been in the window business for over 20 years. I started off in manufacturing sales, and after a couple years of that, pivoted to actually installation.
So I guess when you think about windows, you don't think that they're a pain.
well,
never heard that one before.
Nick, we almost got through the day without a pun. Almost.
No, there's more building in the brain, but
hit me with them.
I'll save. I can't hit you all at once. I'll save them.
All right.
Where are your service areas?
So we're the Tri-State. I mean, from Chambersburg down to Martinsburg, over to Frederick. Most of our business is currently from Chambersburg to Waynesboro, Greencastle, Hagerstown. We do a lot of work in Washington County.
But you don't go past the Virginia border?
Correct. We don't go into Virginia, but we do service Berkeley County, West Virginia.
Okay, very nice. And you guys were, like you said, just voted Best Home Improvement Company in the Tri-State. So what makes you different than any other company?
Well, I'm glad you said Best Home Improvement and not just Best Window and Door. We got voted Best Home Improvement in the Tri-State, and I think what sets us apart is the customer service that we provide. From the time somebody calls in, talks to Roxanne, aka Mom, and sets an appointment.
Now we talked.
I was warned I was going to get kicked off the show.
You're good.
You said if you drop your mic pack, it's over, Nick.
It's over.
It's over.
All right, we're gonna tuck this down here.
There we go.
So when you call in to set an
Roxanne.
appointment, Roxanne is very happy that you called. Then I go out and I do the estimating. It's a no pressure situation. We're not hard closers like a lot of the competition coming in from outside the market. They want to nail you down. They want to make sure both the husband and wife are home so that they can close you on the spot. We don't do any of that kind of thing. So I come out, I take measurements, I help folks figure it out what exactly they need, and then I follow up with a proposal via email.
And do you ever find that someone might call you and say, hey, I think I need new windows, and you get out to the residents and you actually find they're in pretty good shape and they don't? Does that ever happen?
Well, that has happened, and sometimes somebody thinks they may need just glass replaced and we need to replace an entire window, or they think they need a new window and just the glass could be replaced instead of replacing the whole window. So there are certain situations where that happens. Typically, by the time somebody calls us,
there's a problem.
they need right. They need something.
And do you offer any kind of financing? Because I can imagine the projects get a little expensive, or can.
Yeah, most of our customers pay with cash, check, credit card, but we do have it's called Get Power Pay financing. So if somebody wants to extend it out over a couple months or a couple years even,
nice.
We have that option.
Let's go into, so we did a podcast, an Ask the Expert podcast.
Yeah.
It was Nick and was sitting with me, and we talked for about 30 minutes, and a majority of that was discussing, as a matter of fact, the genesis of this was my in-laws needed windows.
Right.
And for the benefit of anyone listening and watching today, a little backstory here. My father-in-law was contacted by a large company. We won't name the names, but if you heard of them, you would know exactly who they are. They're primarily out of Pennsylvania and servicing that area. And he said, sure, stop by, you can do an estimate. And they did the estimate that weekend. We were visiting with them, and he told me the number.
I remember this.
And I was, well, A, I was blown away, but B, I was kind of scared because I thought, my goodness, the day comes where we need windows in our house. We're screwed, because that's just, and he said, Tiny, that's over half of what we paid for the house
right.
when we built it.
Right.
And I was just blown away, but I didn't question it at first because all you hear is prices are up. everything's going up. And I thought, well, that just must be what they are. And I said to him, I said, all right, let me do this. We have the owner of HomeRite Windows and Doors coming in to do an Ask the Expert. So that I can have something to talk about on the podcast with Nick, why don't I arrange for them to come out, get in touch with you, come out and give you an estimate, see what they can do. And at the very least, if it's not something that is a better option, it'll still give us something to talk about with the estimate experience for the podcast. So Nick is the one who went out on site, gave the estimate, and you came in at, I believe, less than a third of what this company offered. Now, you did in the podcast, so I know that it's going to be repetition for your sake, but
Right.
and I know you're proud of this as well, you should be. Take us through how and why you were able to do that and how your products compare to, and you know the company that we were talking about, so how do your products compare?
Yeah, well, I mentioned a minute ago about companies coming into this area from Harrisburg or Virginia or the DC region, whatever it might be, or Baltimore even. They're spending a lot of marketing dollars to generate business here, okay? And so they're charging outrageous prices to compensate for that. So, in our minds, as a society, we're thinking, oh, it's expensive, it must be better. Well, that's not necessarily the case. It's just the business model that brought that product here that made it so expensive. So because we're local to the Tri-State, we're able to come in at a much more affordable price than most of our competition. The products are fantastic products with whether it be double pane, triple pane, lifetime warranty, local installers that live here and kids go to schools in this community in Washington County, Franklin County. So we're truly a small family business, doing business here every day and not having to support multi-million-dollar marketing budgets.
And my father-in-law said to me, of course, he couldn't tell me loud enough and fast enough the estimate that came in from HomeRite. And he said, he said, Tiny, it was kind of just a courtesy that the original company even called. And I said, well, I've been kind of in the market for them. So yeah, come on in and give me an estimate. And he got such sticker shock from that number that I do believe that he was about just to throw his hands up and say, okay, we're just not going to bother. If any company would even be in the ballpark of that, we'll deal with it. It'll be fine. We can deal with the draft.
Right.
We'll put a towel up on the window or something.
We don't need windows that bad.
Yeah, no doubt. We'll just tarp it up. No big deal. But then when you came in as low as you came in, just the comparison was night and day. That he said, I went from, well, yeah, I'm kind of thinking about getting the windows replaced, to, yeah, I'm not going to do it at that price, to, wow, I've got to get these replaced, and we're going to do this now.
Yeah.
It was such a night and day. It's just a stark contrast that even I couldn't believe it. And I told him, I said, I want you to, because he started thanking me, and I said, well, hang on. I didn't have anything to do with the pricing. Like when Nick came in and did the pricing, you got exactly what everyone would get. I specifically did not want any, quote unquote favors, because I wanted the podcast that we were about to do to be 100% real. Because if I go saying all this happens and someone else comes in and says, well, wait a minute, what happened here? To me, that's not honest, and it lacks integrity to do that. So everything being on the up and up, and they are so happy. The process for them, painless. My mother-in-law loved, I forgot her name, the lady that helps with the installation.
Oh, Crystal.
Crystal, yes.
Yeah.
Loves she was cleaning up, she was vacuuming as they were going and putting everything in, and my mother-in-law said, no, you don't have to do that. And she goes, ma'am, I can't leave your house like this. I treat it like my own house. And she meant every word of it.
She did mean it. And I think when you talk about having a price that's half the price or a third of the price or whatever, none of that means anything if you don't follow through with that process you just described. If we don't handle ourselves like professionals, if we don't put in quality products, if we don't vacuum and clean to the best of our ability, then who cares about the low price?
Right.
That didn't mean anything. But the fact that we do follow through the way we do, and then beyond that, I mentioned a lifetime warranty. So you call me in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, we're on the hook to take care of whatever issue you might be dealing with your warranty. Provia is our manufacturer.
Right.
It's their warranty. As a dealer of Provia, we execute that warranty. So you don't have to track down the company. You just call us. We have all your information. We take care of everything.
And you're local. You're not going anywhere. It's like we just had a representative from Patriot Federal Credit Union come in, and I mentioned how they're still local. They're here. If I need something, I know I can go to their office, the corporate office, and they're right here. It's the same with you. You don't have to track down all these different companies. Well, we're sorry, we need you to call our office in Texas. Excuse me, you're in Waynesboro, so you're here.
Right. We're here. You can call us. We're usually there within, a day or two to assess whatever might need to be done, get parts and pieces ordered if needed, get you taken care of.
I'm sure you get that phone call from Roxanne. She gets you on the ball, doesn't she? She's like, yes, Mom.
Yeah,
fine.
you're not going to disappoint Mom. That's
right,
one thing
yeah.
you're
Is she
not
your
going
mom?
to do. Yeah, Roxanne is my mom,
Oh,
yes.
okay. Oh,
Yes.
nice. Very
Yeah.
nice. Boys, I would love to talk windows here all day long, but I have to ask you about your shirt.
Oh, this?
Clap, fist pump, woo, woo, woo. And I did notice that there might be some presents there as well. So
But if you take the present, you have to attempt the clap, fist bump, woo.
I did CrossFit. That's very
Okay, all right.
very
I'm going
much-
to teach you in a second.
Okay, I can't wait.
There's your T-shirt.
Thank you so much.
There's your
Oh,
T-shirt.
Tiny,
right?
this is the material you really like.
It is. He gave me the extra large. Here, you take that. All right.
Now, you may need to stand up. I don't know if you really want to, like Ric Flair, can you, find
Woo!
That's what we're talking about.
Okay.
Woo!
Woo!
That was pretty good.
It wasn't bad. Yeah.
Woo! Yeah, I think you have to do all three of these movements.
I'm just so fascinated with the Ric
Fist
Flair
bump.
reference.
Okay.
Here. For
You
me
like
is-
that?
Oh, absolutely.
So what are we doing the clap, fist pump, woo for?
So this is a rally cry for a foundation that I recently learned about. And the Invincible Foundation is a group of people down in the Raleigh, North Carolina area. And Vince is a young man who has beat leukemia. He has gone through 2.5 years of treatment. He was a wrestler, which is near and dear to my heart, and my brother is involved in this organization, and he was a wrestler, and that's kind of how he got involved in that, seeing this young man in his community who's battling this thing. But Vince had to go through 860 days of treatment to beat this disease.
Wow.
So while he did that, and obviously everybody's very grateful he was able to do that, the thing that struck this family was the toll it takes on the family. Not just financially, but are there siblings that need rides to school, practice, who's doing the grocery shopping? All of the things that get interfered with in your life when you have to deal with something like this. So they created the Invincible Foundation, and rather than just say, hey, we're going to fight cancer, their angle is more of how can we support the families that are dealing with this, and that's what they do. They build personal relationships with these families, with both the kids, the parents, and they go out of their way to find out what it is they can do to support these kids and these families that are dealing with these terrible situations. So my thought was, how can we bring this message and this organization to the tri-state area? We're going to be here talking every other week for the next couple months. I figured it was a good opportunity to shed a little light on this.
I agree. Yeah, a friend of mine recently, she is she's a single mother, and her daughter, unwittingly now they had to find themselves in ICU in Harrisburg/Hershey, and she has 2 other daughters that are at home. And I said, I was talking to a friend of hers, and I said, because I don't want to bother her, so I talked to a friend about how is she doing, and she said, well, she's doing okay. She was able to come home the other day. And I said, as a parent, I would imagine it would break your heart to have to leave your child in the hospital. But she has 2 other daughters, 2 other children, who still need their mother. And so it's a tearing thing. It tears at you. What do I do? It tugs at you. To your point with this Invincible Foundation, is they can kind of bridge the gap. Look, no one's going to replace mom or dad for doing all of these things, but at the very least, just some help, knowing that their focus needs to be their child who is going through this, their family member who's going through this. So knowing that help is there, they're often not necessarily forgotten as far as the other family members, but sometimes don't get as much attention as they would need and deserve.
Right, and the situation can be different. The situation is different in every scenario, and it doesn't matter what status you are, rich, poor. It doesn't matter. Everybody's family is going to be hit one way or another with this. And there is a financial element to this. There is some financial support that can be given, but that's not it. It's about loving the families. It's about providing resources if needed. It's just about being there. And there are individuals at the Invincible Foundation who have been through this.
Right.
Some have had children survive it, and some haven't. And so those are the people reaching out to the new groups that come in, the new families that come in, and they're talking to them from a perspective of, I've been there, I've lived through this.
Yep.
So
Very
I think
good.
that's very helpful.
Well, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you for
absolutely.
this.
You're
and
welcome.
This is a very nice T-shirt.
It is a
soft.
very comfy
Yes,
T-shirt.
love the
and
soft.
Yeah.
The whole point is when you wear it, everybody's going to ask you,
Oh, 100%.
and you've got to.
Yeah.
You got
Now I know what I'm wearing tomorrow. It takes care of one of my outfits. So
All right.
there we go. All right, Nick, well, thank you so much, owner of HomeRite Windows and Doors. Thanks for spending time with us today on Let's Talk Tri-State.
We'll have you back. You know that.
Thank you.
And coming up, we're going to take another look at news and sports. It's all powered by Veritas Men's Health in Hagerstown. They have telehealth available. You can also find them online at veritasmenshealth.com.
If you'd like to be featured on an upcoming episode of Let's Talk Tri-State, call 717-597-9200 or email letstalk@921thegoat.com.